director, Roger Corman.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Roger. My old friend Roger Corman.
Long ago.
From a long time ago to now. You're a legend in your own time, Roger.
We are both legends, and
Two legends.
I salute the greater legend.
You started in films as a young man, as a director?
Yes, I started first as a writer, then a producer, then a director.
And what attracted you to horror films?
I think something within my unconscious. I loved horror films, and I loved horror novels and science fiction from when I was a little kid. I was reading those books.
What are the horror elements? I mean, what? I don't understand horror myself.
I can give you an example in one of the Edgar Allan Poe pictures.
Yes, I mean, what I'd like you to do is take an Edgar Allan Poe picture that you made and be specific. Tell us specifically what you mean.
All right. I wanted to build a series of suspenseful moments culminating in the peak at which the audience screams. And it leads to something else, but I'll start with this. You start with what has always been a classic for me, the man walking down a hallway. There's certain sexual symbolism in that as well that I think as it becomes very complex. But anyway, stay with the horror end of it. You have Vincent walking down the hallway. Late at night, you can hear thunder. There's a tiny window specifically so that lightning can flash in. Cobwebs are all around. Rats are on the floor, primarily to set up the mood, but also to have little moments where he turns something in a cobweb, hits him in the face, and he has to push it away.
Again, original fear of insects, rats.
Right. And he almost steps on a rat, and you have a cut of that. These are little moments of horror, building and building and building, and the audience is saying to him or feeling, go forward, because what is at the end of that corridor is tremendously important. And they're also saying, get out of there, turn and go the other way. Now, I think it's connected a little bit with a young man's initiation to sex. The corridor is obviously the vagina. He wants to go forward to see what is at the other end.
That's so interesting.
But also, he's a little worried. He's never done this before, and he may say, well, maybe I'll try this another time. So all of these tensions are building and building and building. And the peak comes at the end of the corridor, and in this one scene...
Of course, the cobwebs in the vagina, we don't want to even go there.
Right, okay, let's hit the individual moments here. And anyway, we'll stay with the hallway, the corridor. He's going down the corridor, and at the end is a door, and the answer to what he's seeking is behind the door. And I have a close-up on him as he's walking forward, and a POV also. So we're cutting with a moving camera, going forward, and POV on him, plus the cutaways. And as he comes to the door, I go in tight on him and tight on the door. And in this particular case, when the door opened, it was an old storage room. I went in tight on the door, and an old hobby horse fell forward and hit him in the face.
Startling. Looking for a surprise.
Right. At the same time, I hit the soundtrack with the sound of the hobby horse coming forward as the creaking door opens, and at the same time the music builds to a peak. All of it hit simultaneously, and I remember at the sneak preview, the audience screamed with fear. And I thought, I did it. I got this one right. And then something happened that I had not anticipated. After they screamed, there was a little laughter. And I thought, wait a minute, did I do something wrong here? And I thought, no. The laughter is a release of the tension and also sort of appreciation that they'd been had, but they were in on it because they expected it to be. And that's one of the reasons why in some of the later horror films, we started introducing more humor on the basis that humor is connected in a strange way with horror, which in a strange way is connected with sex. And you think of them all three is a building of tension to a point, and then it breaks. In horror, you scream. In a joke, you laugh. And in sex, you have a great moment
You're doing both. Right. Interesting theme to follow. Try us with another.
Well, seeing this going this way, AIP, the company I was making the pictures for, wanted more films, and Dick Matheson, a very good writer who was writing most of them for me, and I felt that we were repeating ourselves a little bit.
Did you and Dick discuss this idea of laughter, horror, and such?
Yes, and that led to the fact in The Raven, we upped the ante in the humor, and it worked very well. We still had the horror, but we had more humor in it, which led to my making some very low-budget films, particularly Little Shop of Horrors, which I shot in 2 days and a night.
Why did you waste time on that night?
We needed some night exteriors, so we went out one night.
Did you shoot in 2 days? Did you shoot as we do set by set, or did you do it as a progression?
No, I shot set by set, and I shot the way we're doing now, with one camera there on me and one camera there on you, which I would not do for a full horror film because it flattens the lighting a little bit. A cameraman can't light perfectly in both directions simultaneously.
You have no idea of the largesse of our budget, because we also have a camera right there.
Oh, we're in the big
with 3
time.
cameras.
You're way ahead of me.
Right. So, Little Shop of Horrors, you directed.
Yeah.
Essentially in 2.5 days.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. What kind of preparation do you do for something
Well,
like that?
on that, the preparation was, I did it kind of as a bet, and also a set was standing at
You
the
bet with your wife.
studio, right? And I bet with the studio manager. He gave me the set at half price for 2 days, and I had to bet whether or not I could do it. And I took the set for a week, because as a member of Screen Actors Guild, you know that a weekly rate is about equal to 3 days of a daily rate. So if I was going to hire the actors for 2 days, I might as well hire them for 5 and pay them just for 1 additional day. So what we did, we rehearsed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then shot Thursday, Friday, so I didn't have to waste time. It was almost like a stage play. We had everything worked out in the 3 days of rehearsal. We could just come in and shoot.
And what about pre-production preparation? Did you have all your shots planned?
Yes, I set them up to a large extent before the rehearsals.
Storyboarded?
Yeah, no, I didn't storyboard. I have a different way. I do a vertical thing, which is sort of lines as to where people are going, which is roughly the equivalent, but not quite as
To you, in your mind, you knew,
I knew
where, no matter what the symbology was of what you drew, you knew what your angle was, what it would
Yes.
contain, and who the people were in it.
Exactly, and I'd set that up loosely before the rehearsal, and then in the rehearsal, as you know, actors or somebody gets an idea, you change it some way, hopefully improving it, and I modified and refined my equivalent of a storyboard during the 3-day rehearsal.
And how much post-production did you do on it?
It was a normal post-production, maybe a little bit faster because I had 2 cameras, and therefore I didn't have to worry about that old thing where in the shot on you, your hand is here, and when it turns around here, your hand is down there, and you can't match it. Everything was a perfect match.
Who wrote the script?
Chuck Griffith, a very good writer, a comedy writer who wrote a number of things, but he was best at black humor.
And what is black humor?
Black humor, I think, is connected more with horror, with untasteful humor in one way, but bringing humor connected with death, with horror, with things like that into it.
You got an example? Does an example come to mind?
Well, I can give you an example of an old joke when black humor jokes were popular. 2 sharks are swimming in the ocean, and one says, "I found a great new Italian restaurant." And the other shark says, "What is it?" And he said, "It's the Andrea Doria." Now, for us, the young audience may not get it, but the Andrea Doria for the audience,
Italian luxury ship.
Italian luxury ship that
went down.
sunk.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm trying to put that into a motion picture scenario. The monster, for example. Shark is a good monster.
Yes.
With its teeth and its ability to its largeness and its ability to kill you. What makes a good monster?
I can tell you, now there I can tell you a specific story on a science fiction picture I did. I had a creature coming from one of the large planets, I've forgotten what it was, Jupiter, Saturn, something like that, and I studied physics, in college, and I thought about this because I try to be reasonably logical. And I thought, okay, a monster from a big planet would be built low to the ground because the gravity would be so powerful. A giraffe could not exist on a planet with heavy gravity, but a turtle could. So I built a low-slung, very evil-looking monster. This was a 10-day, $80,000 picture. Beverly Garland, my leading lady, who was very hip and very funny, as we were setting up for the first shot, walked over to the monster, looked down at it, and said, "So, you've come to conquer the earth, eh? Take that." And she kicked it. I saw immediately what she had done, and I turned to our key grip and to the assistant director, and I said, "Scrub this shot. We're going to shoot something else." And I said to the grip and the prop man, "I want that monster 12 feet high after lunch, and we're not going to shoot the monster until then," which gave me the first rule: the monster must be bigger than your leading lady. So logic went out the window immediately.
Okay,